Hi, and welcome to another R Labs tutorial. In this short video, we'll be talking about conditional statements. So what is a conditional statement? Well, in its most basic form, a conditional statement checks whether a condition is true or false. And then in some cases, a particular action can be performed based on whether the condition is true or false. And this requires the use of if statements, else statements, and/or if-else statements. Now, what conditions will we be checking? Well, most often, we would be checking if one term is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, exactly equal to, or not equal to another term. If we have two or more conditions, we can specify or and as well. Now, in both cases, specifying one symbol returns a vectorized answer, whereas specifying two symbols cannot return a vectorized answer. The condition is only applied to the first element of a given vector. Conditional statements are probably best understood by examining a series of examples. So let's just scroll over to RStudio and have a look. Okay, let's start with a basic test of a condition without specifying a subsequent action. So we could ask a question like, true or false, 1 is less than 2. And evidently we see that this is a true statement. We could then ask true or false, 5 is exactly equal to 10. And what do you know, this is false. But we can make this statement true very easily by changing it ever so slightly. So we could ask true or false, 5 is not equal to 10. And there we have it, a true statement. Now we can also use vectors with more than one element in a similar way. So here's a vector x that contains the numbers 2 to 20 counting by 2. And we can view this vector x, and we can ask a simple question like true or false, x is greater than 8. And we get an answer for each element of this vector. We can also do something slightly more complex using our same vector x. So we can ask, for example, true or false, x is exactly equal to 2, or x is greater than or equal to 8. And we get true returned for all elements except for these two elements here, 4 and 6, which are neither equal to 2 nor greater than or equal to 8. Now note that we used or in this test instead of and, because a single number in our vector x cannot be both equal to 2 and greater than or equal to 8 at the same time. It's just not possible. Now also note that when we say x is exactly equal to 2, we are not redefining the variable x. 2 equal signs asks a question, whereas a 1 equal sign, or more correctly the get sign, is used to define a variable. Now we're not restricted to numbers either. We can have an animal's character vector made up of birds, fish, and mammals, for example. And we can view this vector. And then we can ask a simple true or false question, such as true or false, animal is a bird. And there we have our logical answers. The statement is true for 2 of the elements in the vector, since there are only 2 bird elements in the vector. Now, when writing longer bits of code in which certain commands are only executed in the event of a condition being met, then we can use if statements. The general structure of an if statement is seen here. All we have to write is if, followed by round brackets where we can enter our logical condition, such as one of the ones that we've been practicing, and then we can specify a series of commands that we want to be done if a condition is true. And these curly brackets allow us to split up a chunk of code into several lines, which often helps to make the code cleaner and also facilitates situations where there are multiple commands or specifications. Now we can start by trying something very simple, like age gets 21. And since this is my age, we're going to make an if statement that says, if age is exactly equal to 21, print me too, close curly brackets. And there we go. In this case, print me too is the command. And obviously, since I assigned age to equal 21, me too was printed on the console. Now again, we're not limited to numbers here. Let's do another animal character example. So we can say animal gets fish. We've defined our variable. And then we can say if animal is exactly equal to fish, print I can swim, close curly brackets. And there we have it. Since we defined our variable to be fish, our command prints I can swim. Now, one of the downsides of if statements is that on their own, they do not work with vectorized arguments. So for example, we will return to our animals vector from before, and we can say something simple like, if animals is exactly equal to fish, print swims, close curly brackets. Since we have 3 fish in our animals vector, we might expect 3 swims to appear, but instead we get a warning sign. Now luckily, combining if statements with loops, as we will see in a later video, or using if-else statements, as we will see in a couple of minutes, can often help solve this problem. We can also add a simple extension to the if statement, and that is the else statement, which allows us to specify a command for cases where a condition is false as well. And as you can see, all we have added here is the word else, another set of curly brackets, and then we enter the appropriate commands. So in our age example, we can have something like age gets 30, and then if age is exactly equal to 21, print me too, else print not me, I'm 21, and we close our curly brackets. And since we set age to equal 30, which is not my age, we get a nice not me message. We can also do another character example where we say animal gets fish, and then if animal is exactly equal to a bird, print I can fly, else print I can't fly, close curly brackets. And there we go. Apparently fish can't fly. But once again, vectors with more than one element do not work with combined if and else statements. Now there is also somewhat of a shortcut to combining if and else statements, and that is the if-else statement. So the general form of the if-else statement is if-else followed by the logical condition, and then the command for the action that will be performed if the condition is true, and the command for the action that will be performed if the condition is false. And so back to our if and else age example, we could have written instead, age gets 30, and then this if-else statement, which reads, if age is exactly equal to 21, print me too. If not, print not me, I'm 21. And there we go, we get the same output as before. And one of the great things about this if-else command is that it does work with vectorized arguments too. So we can jump straight to our animals vector example from before, and we can write this bit of code. Now I have simply assigned this if-else statement to the variable e, so that it doesn't give you the answer right away. But this if-else statement basically reads, if animals is exactly equal to fish, print swims, and if not, or else, print doesn't swim. And we can view this variable, and there we go, it works. So since we have 3 fish in our animals vector, we get swims printed 3 times when we use our if-else statement. Thanks for listening to this RLabs tutorial video. If you found this useful, you might be interested in our free online Moodle course, or check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel.